What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new episode of the Pro Black Blurred Kingdom podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the Knuckles the Echidna TV show trailer that just came out and my thoughts, or more so my initial thoughts on the matter. So for those of you all who have been living under a rock and have not been listening to anything that I've ever said, either on social media or on this podcast, whatever it may be, I am a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Matter of fact, Sonic the Hedgehog was the first series that truly got me into really enjoying comic books. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I really have been trying to stay up to date on everything that has been going on in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog in the movie scene, because so far the movies have vastly impressed me as far as the content, as far as how well they've done with the storylines, and overall, like, just the job that they've done in the way that it all came out and the way it was all done. So after watching this trailer, I had a few different feelings on it. First of all, I gotta say, I love the whole addition of Knuck If You Buck and it being remixed into a theme for Knuckles the Echidna. I thought that was very creative. I thought that was very interesting, and I definitely loved it. I thought that was awesome. And I think that the thing that makes it so cool is the fact that it's very fitting, not even just for the fact that his name is Knuckles, but just for who he is, his personality. He's a fighter. And that's why also too, Knuckles, if you all did not know, he is my favorite Sonic character. He has always been my favorite Sonic character. Matter of fact, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Had Sonic not been pushed because he's the lead over and over again, I think that Knuckles would have took the spotlight. And I think a lot of people like low-key know that. First of all, let's be clear. Knuckles really is a pseudo-black character who is literally an allegory for a black person. And I think they were trying to combine foundational black American culture with Jamaican culture to a certain extent. And they were mashing his character into one. And that's why he also has locks as well, too. And I think I may have said this before in the past. I don't know if I said it on this podcast, but I've definitely said it on social media quite a bit. But even outside of the whole blackness thing, when it comes to the Knuckles character, I just love the character overall, just his design, his personality, his abilities. Red is my favorite color, so he's just one of my favorite characters that pretty much was ever created. So I love already the fact that they have a TV show about him, but I just really have always truly felt like he was my favorite Sonic character. Second favorite was Shadow the Hedgehog, but definitely Knuckles is number one. Now, with that being said, I watched this trailer all the way through. I love the whole Knuck If You Buck thing. I thought that was cool. The things that I also noticed too is that they are doing a good job with trying to make this character different than Sonic the Hedgehog in personality while also making him relevant. I think that there's been a trend, especially with the video games, where Knuckles was just made to be a side character that was pretty much just another lackey to Sonic, just doing whatever Sonic wanted to do, going along with his stuff, going along with whatever was important to him. Whereas Knuckles, when he was first introduced, had an identity that was separate from Sonic. If anything, he was kind of annoyed by him. And they kind of try to introduce that element to some extent still. But I think that they pretty much relegated him to a side character. And really, in some cases, they basically have made the character an idiot. So I really don't like that, because I think that, one, it low-key takes a shot at black people, because it's a thing where it's like, we have this character who obviously does not appear black, but he's an allegory for blackness, and we're going to make him stupid. I don't really like that. So my thing is, the whole idea of the character originally was that he was gullible in the very beginning because he was trusting. He was far too trusting. But to just make him a full-blown idiot was something that I really didn't care for. Going back, though, I think that this movie, like the Sonic 2 movie, and then this TV show, is setting the tone once again that Knuckles is a serious character, a character that we can really enjoy and respect. And that's what I really love about the way that they're kind of painting this narrative. It's like they're kind of doing a refresh of the Sonic franchise, and they're making this character really cool again. And cool in the way that I loved back when I was a kid. With this trailer too, I noticed a couple other things that there were good things, but there were also bad things. I thought that the way it looked was great. I thought that the way that they were presenting It was great. Like the way the marketing was beautiful is what I'm saying. The aesthetics were beautiful. I really like that. Now, here are my concerns. My concerns are, one, that it's a little on the gentrified side, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. I think that white dominated society loves to do this thing where they take common expressions and things and music trends and stuff like that that has come from Black American culture historically, and likes to take them and use those things like they're cool, and then try to put that into aesthetics and things that we actually have liked growing up because we don't have anything representing ourselves. I say that because I remember seeing a caption of the Knuckles the Echidna trailer, like for the TV show. And I remember there was a caption at the bottom that said, "It hits different." That kind of made me cringe. I'm going to be totally honest with you. And the reason why I say that is because seeing that, and I don't know if that was something that was official. I'm assuming it was based off of like where I saw it at. But if that was a catchphrase for the whole Knuckles the Echidna TV show, I don't like it because it reminds me of that white person who is listening to things that black people say and is mimicking them, thinking that it's cool or it's funny, or that we're going to think it's cool or invite them to the cookout because we said that they said something that we typically say in our culture. And I just don't like that idea because all they're really doing is taking those same expressions and they're profiting off of them. So that's one thing that I peep. It's real small, but I think that it's a much bigger issue than anybody else probably would look at it like. The other thing too is that whole "it hits different" thing. That is a 2-year old expression. It is 2024. People were saying that a lot of times in 2022. I saw them do it. WWE did it at one point as well too, and it made me cringe when they did it. And after a point, I was like, I don't even want to say "it hits different" no more. So that some white person who probably is having a mayonnaise sandwich right now is walking around saying that shit. Like, I just didn't want to, like, I just didn't even want to say the shit no more because it was so damn gentrified. Now, the other thing that I saw too with the Knuckles the Echidna trailer that I wouldn't say I disliked it or it was a con, but I was, I guess, a little bit confused because it makes me just kind of want to come up with a bunch of theories, but I don't really have anything to truly go off of. With the villains, I'm really unclear about the direction on what type of story they were trying to tell. My gut tells me that maybe they were trying to hint at either creating an OC or that they were trying to go for the Sonic 3 and Knuckles maybe timeline where they were showing what Knuckles went through after he was dealing with all the things that Sonic had already and Tails had already dealt with. Because that's kind of the role that they played in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, or Sonic 3, is that Sonic and Tails already had their story where they actually, were going through like these different courses and stuff like that. And Knuckles was trying to stop them because he was gullible or whatever. And then you had Knuckles, who was going through everything afterwards to a certain extent. Now, some may even say that it kind of got intertwined, or it could have been just Knuckles' side of the story and what happened, and showing what would have happened had he pretty much been in control. It's really hard to say. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think that it may have been going in the direction of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but telling it from the perspective of maybe everything that could have happened afterwards of the events of Sonic dealing with Dr. Eggman and things like that. Now, I could be reaching a lot by even making that comment in the first place, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think that there was somewhat of a Sonic 3 and Knuckles storyline going on, and I think that they could be presenting that Egg Robo might be the villain, kind of like in the Sonic 3 series. If you ever look at the Sonic 3 video games, Sonic the Hedgehog, anytime that he had those boss fights, Eggman would be in one of those like robot suits when he would fight them. And then when Knuckles would fight those same bosses on those stages, it was always Egg Robo. It was always this thing, I don't know what it was, that kind of looked similar to Eggman, but it looked like a robot version of him. So I don't know if they're going for the Egg Robo angle or not, but if they are, I think that's kind of interesting. The other thing too is I think we need to see more, right? I think that it's just a trailer, obviously, and I don't want them to spoil the whole movie. And I hate when trailers just tell you everything that they think that you should know while you're watching it. But I think that we need to see more because there's a lot of things that they really could do. It's also clear that they're kind of going into Call's tribe a little bit too. So they really kind of touched on that with the I don't know how to say his name. Is it Pacamac? Is that how you say his name? It's he's like the it's no. Yeah. Yeah, Pacakamak or Pachacamac. I don't know how to say his name, but Pachacamac. They kind of touched on his character, if I'm not mistaken, as well too, and I believe that's who they're talking about. So I don't really know what direction they're going in with it, but I think that it's interesting that they've actually brought in the Echidna tribe ordeal as well too into this whole thing. Now, how deep they will go with that, I don't know. I think it would be interesting if they explored it more, especially if they went the comic route. But see, my problem with this series is that I think that it's not really being very clear about who the villain is, but the fact that they've already showed these people who are friends with Robotnik or Eggman, whatever you would like to call him, and then they've shown Pachacamac. I don't know what's the right way to say his name, but the fact that they're showing him now, it's kind of setting the tone about who could be the villain in this series and what the storyline is going to entail with Knuckles and dealing with his tribe and things like that. But at the same time, it's also maybe not allowing for room for other stories that I think would be great. Like, for example, they could go into the thing with him and Rouge and setting the tone for their chemistry and their relationship. They could use this as an opportunity to make Metal Sonic the villain, and that could still be a thing. I really don't know, right? The other thing that they could be doing too is they could be setting up for a comics type of storyline, right? They could do a Knuckles Chaotix. I don't think they're going to do that per se in this one. I don't, but that I feel like would have been a good route to take his character. And again, I could be wrong. And I mean, like, if I am, maybe I'll make a podcast episode and I'll let you know that I'm dead wrong. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I think that there's a lot of ways that they could still tell a good Knuckles the Echidna story and really make it more so tailored to the things that we have seen in the video games and then all the other shows that we watch that have been Sonic related. You know, the other thing too is, and this is another storyline I thought about, they could always do the whole Chaos storyline, like with Chaos, but just not have Sonic in it and just make it a Knuckles thing, since the Chaos thing dealt with the Master Emerald and him becoming stronger after, he got the Chaos Emeralds too. I get that piece. But like dealing with the Master Emerald and the history behind that and whatnot, I think that would be interesting. Or again, with the comics, they could do the whole Chaotix and maybe even like the Dark Legion storyline where you have these evil echidnas who had their own basically gang and Knuckles was really against them and his people. So that could be a good way to introduce them. But again, I don't know how far they're going to go into that. Clearly they have some form of rights with the comics because you have Knuckles who is basically saying stuff in the second movie, such as he likes grapes, which is a very key detail in the comics. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes, but thus far, these are my thoughts. And when you listen to this video, let me know what you think. What do you think about the Knuckles the Echidna trailer? Like, how did you feel about what you saw? So other than that, I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's night, and I'll talk to y'all later.